Hi, everybody. So, as most of you know, many of you, or many of you, I've been doing archetype videos for the last couple of years. I've really been enjoying myself to no end, kind of doing things on archetypes, archetypal patterns. And it has, thankfully, thanks to all of you, amassed an audience. And you're enjoying these. And I'm getting a lot of feedback. I have been for the last couple of years. And many of you are asking about, am I going to teach anything on archetypes again? And what about this archetype? And what about that archetype? So I'm going to update you. First, if you go to my site, you'll see that we have the domain name archetype.com now. And so if you hit that, you'll go to all my videos and they're available for free on archetypes. But it's just a lot of fun to go through that. And we are real pleased to be able to build up the site on this bank of information. But secondly, I pay attention to what you write. And so what I've decided to do is teach an intensive on archetypes starting in May, which is like tomorrow, but the month of May. Because there's so many questions and I can't squeeze it all into a video. So I decided that I would do a 4-week intensive on, and it's called an Archetype Intensive, exploring the influence of our silent psychic patterns. Well, actually partners, our silent psychic partners, because that's exactly what an archetype is. And I have learned so much through the years about how, when I started out as a medical intuitive, I knew nothing about the archetypal world, the realm, the patterns. I knew nothing. It took years for me in doing readings with Norm Shealy and other physicians, but mostly Norm, to where I could sense in us that we were far more complicated than what we ate and that what was obviously happening in our life. It was far more complicated and complex and delicious. And the more I looked at archetypal patterns, the more I thought, what is this realm? And that led me to then find a Jungian analyst who really became my spiritual director. He's both an analyst and a theologian. And so for 25 years, I plunged into my own domain of archetypes. I don't feel like I could teach you unless I was doing the same work on myself. And that even opened the world richer and richer. And eventually it led me to a more mystical understanding of the organization of this place we call the universe. At any rate, I decided that I would go back to teaching on archetypes on reflections. And so I've put together this class on exploring the influence of our silent psychic partners, because that's exactly what they are. And now, today, if I was to do a book on health, the way that I would start it, the ingredients I would start it with, the factors, for me, it all starts in our energy field, in our soul, in our capacity to expand our understanding of who we are, of all the forces we cannot see that influence us so very, very much. So to that extent, I put together this class, and it's an intensive. The first session I'm going to teach is on we live in an archetypal universe. And so we'll just take off and explore all that can't be seen in the archetypal realm. In session 2, we'll talk about identifying archetypal patterns. And I thought, there's so many patterns, but it's been my experience when I'm with students that when we start, for example, a class in sacred contracts, that we tend to choose archetypes that we like. Oh, I want to be this and I want to be that. And what we like and what we're attracted to may have nothing whatsoever to do with the actual patterns that we have. Let's face it, nobody wants to be an addict. But that pattern may be a part of your configuration. So identifying patterns in yourself is truly such an essential step toward knowing yourself. Knowing yourself. And the more, and I'll tell you something else that's true. Once you identify an archetypal pattern in yourself, once you get, oh, I'm the rescuer, or I'm the healer, whatever, you can never not see it again. You understand your impulses differently. You understand what you're attracted to differently. You understand yourself more and more and more. So that's why I always reach out to help someone. That's why I'm always rescuing. But you just have to look so deeply at these patterns to realize I've been directed by them and not even knowing it. Not even, I obviously have the archetype of the teacher. But years ago, if I were to have cast my archetypal chart before I was who I was, just based on what I wanted to do in my life, I would never have chosen that archetype, because teaching was the last thing I wanted to do. The thought of being in a classroom and no, and grading papers and all of that, I just could not see that for myself. And that was the only image I had of teacher. But quite frankly, teacher is one of the strongest archetypal patterns. Do you know what? I mean, I remember when I was young, lining up all my stuffed toys and all that other stuff and lecturing to them. Honest to God, lecturing to them. And for me, anything that I learned was so exciting. I had to share it with someone, anything. So I'd share it with my stuffed animals. Can you believe that? When I look back at that, I mean, I think it's patterns, right? Okay. Then I want to talk about the archetypal patterns. In addition to identifying your patterns and how that works, we're going to look at the archetypal patterns that we all share with an emphasis on self-esteem and the whole archetypal dynamic of needing to develop self-esteem as part of what it means to become a whole person. And then my last session with you will be called Tiger by the Tail, because once you identify an archetypal pattern, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? How is that supposed to enhance your life and empower you? How do you relate to your world around you once you have this sense that you have a pattern in you that's not going anywhere? It will always be there. So either you embrace that pattern and learn about it, or it will work as a silent psychic partner. So anyway, I am excited as all get out to be teaching a class on my own again. I'm sure you've missed me, but I have missed teaching. So I hope you will join me, and we'll start just in a week or so. I'm sure there's information that's going to be posted at the base of this video. But again, I want to invite you to take a look at archetypes.com and to take a look at the all access. You can access all my workshops, everything's available. So, it's amazing. Even I can't believe how long I've been teaching and how long I have been, I've been around. I mean, I look at the archive of everything, and I just hope you'll enjoy it. I really do. Okay, thank you, everybody.